Hi, hello. This screencast is basically about the future of adaptive cards. It is covering the content that I have written in my last blog post about adaptive cards, about its future, about what is being released in the new versions, and what is what Matt's team is really working on. So the first things first. There is this page that is called the Partners of Adaptive Cards. And here you can see what versions of Adaptive Cards SDK is currently implemented and used by the Microsoft applications. So for example, still in Microsoft Teams, the version of Adaptive Cards is 1.0. And I hope that during Ignite there is going to be something announced about Adaptive Cards in Teams to support the future, where it is really going to. But today, in most of the applications that Microsoft is having adaptive cards implemented, we are still able only to use the version 1.0, which is, as you already know, nearly 1 year old. But if we, or not maybe we, but if you decide to use Adaptive Cards SDK in your own custom applications, for example in JavaScript or PHP or whatever else, and then you can really have free of choice to select any kind of SDK version you really want. And then going up to version 1.1 that was released, as you see, in October 2018, you can really benefit of many new fine features that are not yet present in version 1.0. So in release 1.1, the features that were implemented, you can just go here to the URL and then click every issue or every feature and read more information about that. What I really like, what I really love, and what I'm very, very much missing from the 1.0 and from what is available in Teams today is that media player support. So just imagine that you want to post an adaptive card with a YouTube video or with an audio file, and you would like user to play it directly from within the adaptive card. So today in Teams it's not possible because of the 1.0. However, once the 1.1 or 1.2 is released and is implemented in Teams, then user is going to be really able to play video or music directly from the adaptive card. The second thing I wanted to show you, or I wanted to talk about, was this ability to support of the level card actions. So that's again a very cool feature because it allows you to really turn your whole adaptive card into a clickable button. So then you won't really need to force user to go and click the specific button underneath the adaptive card, but user will be really able to click just any area, any place within the adaptive card, and it will work as the button. Alright, so that was about Adaptive Cards 1.1. I encourage you to go here and to read about them, about the features even more. Now, going to Adaptive Cards 1.2. Right, so it has moved here. So in Adaptive Cards 1.2, we have a couple of new things that have been implemented and released. One of those features that I'm also really missing in current release is that you will be able to really to embed base64 encoded images directly into adaptive card code. So like for example, you would like to post an adaptive card with an image of a user, and the image is basically their user profile image from SharePoint. And as long as the user who is displaying the adaptive card is not authenticated in SharePoint, this image will not be displayed. But if you take the same image, then encode it into base64 and then embed this code in your adaptive card, and having this 1.2 release SDK implemented, you will be able to really benefit from images inline. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was, that's a very important one, the fallback support. The fallback action or the functionality is basically a definition of how should the adaptive card parser behave if you're using a feature that is not present in the release of the SDK that the current host is using. So for example, if you'd like to use the media player support that is not implemented in version 1.0 and you use this fallback method, so let me show you how it works. Right? So if you like to use the media and that is not supported in current release of the SDK, then it will trigger actions of the fallback definition. So for example, it will display you an image with a hyperlink that will be guiding user to the asset, to the media asset that is then being able to play. Another thing that is, I think, very important is that you'll be able to place the actions anywhere in the card. So not as it is today that you have to really put them below the card at the bottom, but you'll be able to put them anywhere inside the card. All right, now let me jump to version 1.3. So there is this URL that's called the product board, and that is basically a sort of the user voice. The user voice and the backlog of the features that are going to be released with the version 1.3. Speaking about the version 1.3, its preview estimated time of arrival is set to be somewhere end of this year, so 2019. And then the release date is set to be somewhere around the February 2020. But let's stick to what is going to be present in 1.3. So as I said, this portal is not only a backlog, but it's also the user voice, because here you have this button for submitting new ideas. So you can click it and you can describe what would you like to have in the upcoming releases of the adaptive cards, what features you are missing, what functionalities you'd like to have, and you just have to provide your email address to authenticate. And then once you submit it, then the adaptive cards team will review it, and if it's really worth of putting in a backlog, then it will definitely appear here. Now the version 1.3 features are divided into several groups. So the first one is a templating language, the templating feature. I'll talk about it just in a bit in a second. Then there is also a set of actions related to the look and feel, to the layout, basically. So you can see that one of those features that is going to be planned is the responsiveness, or the response design. So then you will be able to really put the adaptive card on any interface, whether it's mobile or desktop. What I'm also missing is this schema version selector. So in the designer of the adaptive cards, you will have this small drop down that will allow you to choose for which SDK you would like to design the card. Also, the host config editor tool. That is very important, because the host config file, I mean, you can't use it if you're posting an adaptive card from Teams, for example. But if you're implementing your own application and you want to really benefit the most from adaptive cards look and feel, then the host config file is the core that really defines the fonts, the colors, the borders, all those general things about the adaptive card layout that then are being used by the host for every adaptive card that is being posted. Also, you can find a bit of the new controls, of the new features. So the funny thing is that you'll be finally able to use the GIF, and there was also somewhere the feature about using the image. Yes, the data URI, but maybe I'm missing that. Oh, sorry, the SVG support, right. So that was the thing I was also missing. So then in 1.3, hopefully you'll be not only able to post an image as the base 64 encoded string, but as well as an SVG. And the last thing, what is really important, is this action support in Microsoft Teams, because Today, as you possibly know, if you want to create your own adaptive card that has the post action, then this post action is not really going to be like posted anywhere else despite the host, because you can't define the target URL. So imagine you would like to create your own custom adaptive card with a form where you would like user to input some information and then submit the information to, I don't know, for example, a flow or directly to another endpoint application. So today you can't do it because every post, every action post from adaptive card is being transferred to the host. And then host, which when speaking about adaptive cards and teams is the flow bot, right, does not know how to handle this request. So if you're posting an adaptive card that is generated by the flow approvals, then the flow bot knows how to handle this submit action, because that is simply the response to the task. And therefore it is able to complete the task and register comments. But when talking about a custom adaptive card posted from Flow, then the Flow bot doesn't know how to handle this request and will return an error. And now this feature, this new functionality, its purpose is to really allow you to define the target URL and then to tell Flowbot how to handle this particular post request. So the number of scenarios where you'll be able to use adaptive card posted by the Flow to Teams, for example, is going to be really unlimited. And I'm really waiting for that. Speaking about adaptive cards and customizations, another thing that you really have to bear in mind is that if you are doing your own application, you don't really have to stick to the host config that allows you to customize fonts, colors, and those basics, as I said. But you can really benefit a lot from extending the schema. One of the benefits of using the JSON and parsing the schema of the JSON is that, and the SDK of adaptive cards basically, is that it is not closed. It is not defined by the team, by the product team, and you're forced to use only what is really in the box. With the extensibility, you're able to really define your own features, your own controls, your own behavior of the adaptive card, and you can implement it directly to the SDK. Then later use it in your application. So for example, if you'd like to create your own progress bar, the control that is not present and is not foreseen in any future release, you can do it and then benefit from having a progress bar in your adaptive card. Another thing that you can use using the extensibility is that you can replace the basic icons or design element of adaptive card with the Fabric UI. So the UI that we are already familiar from using SharePoint and Microsoft applications. So if you'd like to replace the basic default controls and icons from adaptive card, you can use the Office Fabric UI in your adaptive card as well. So having that said, I want to show you a little bit about the templating language. So this is basically, the last one thing. So there is also a new web page upcoming that was announced during the last community call on 12th of September 2019. So that is just a preview. Some features are not working, but I'm really excited about how it looks like. It's very light, it's very fresh, it's very modern as well. And it basically really gives you a lot of information about how the new adaptive cards is going to look like. I just need to remove this page. Right. So that's the new adaptive cards web page. Now, speaking about the templating language, as I started, if you go to the URL that is called the vnextadaptivecards.io/designer, so the regular page, the regular designer URL, but with a vnext before the adaptive cards, then you'll be displayed a new version of the designer that has this sample data editor. Now, the templating language is a thing that allows you to create like placeholders in your content. So for example, that should work, but I'm not sure if it will. Like if I replace here Matt with the first name, and then, for example, Hillinger. Sorry, so there's something not working with the last name. Then having this data together with my adaptive card schema should in the end generate me an adaptive card with those variables replaced with the actual data. So the templating language is basically the way that you can create a single adaptive card and then put those placeholders or variables inside the content, and then have a different values present to a different users depending on the provided data. The data can be as well embed inside adaptive cards JSON, or it can be loaded by the host from the other location. That's really up to you. With the 1.3 version, with the 1.2 version, what we're also going to be given are those actions that we can use the rules. So for example, you'll be able to use the if-else rule within the adaptive card. You will also be able to get data from the host. So the host will be able to provide you with the information about the operating system version or about the browser version. And then having these all features together, so having the information about the host and having the if rules, you'll be able to create the same like adaptive card, but being displayed really differently depending on the host, depending on the user properties, depending on the data provided for the specific user. So it will really let you to have to make a lot of less work and having a lot of more benefits, right? Now, as I click the preview mode, you can see that the information here in adaptive card has been replaced with the data taken from the database. So the first name and last name variables have been replaced with the data taken from the sample, and that is basically how this templating language works. Now, let me show you this also in real action. So now imagine you have an endpoint that is returning you. Sorry, not this one. That is returning you the JSON as the output of its operation. For example, the graph API that you can ask, for example, hey, get me my profile or get me any user's profile. And now in return, you're getting this JSON with the information about your profile. And you would like to create an adaptive card presenting that information to the end user. So basically, of course, you can craft this adaptive card by yourself. You can define the look and feel. However, you can already have this template defined, right? And then simply just grab it and display the adaptive card ad hoc. Nothing easier. So to achieve that, the templating language has present a new feature that allows you to post this JSON to the endpoint that will look up the repository of templates to find the one that really suits the most JSON code that you're sending, right? So right now I'm going to send this JSON. In response, there is the Louise also engaged into this work. So the Louise is trying to find, based on the context and the content, the template that is really matching the most the given data, and in return it is giving me the URL to the template together with confidence. So the higher the confidence is, the more sure I am that this is the right template, that this template I should use. So for this case, the template is called the profile JSON. And what I have to do now is to take this template endpoint URL and paste it here together with at the end of this template's adaptivecards.io URL. And then if I send it as a GET, in return I will be given the template itself. So you see that's a template with all of those placeholders. Now, if I just copy paste it to the Adaptive Card Designer, you can see that it's not really working because some of the information are just missing here. But if I replace the first name, or maybe if I add like the given name, right? The given name with John Doe, and you can see that it's already been added here. So it's been replaced, the given name variable with the John Doe. However, I can also ask the Adaptive Card endpoint, this templating endpoint, to do it for me. So then what I have to do is, again, I need to copy paste this JSON that I want to have a template field in with information. Again, I need to put it here in the body, and then instead of posting the request through the get, I need to change it to post. And now in return, I'm having the same template, but all the variables are already replaced with the actual information. Ta-da! So this is how fast I can really use the templating language. And today the templates are in repository on a GitHub. It's a private repository, so you can't really go into there and browse the repository. It is kind of preview. But soon it is said that it will be open to the community, so anyone in the community will be able to create their own templates and upload them there. So I believe that this repository is really going to grow very fast. And also the plan is that in the nearest future it will be possible to create like a private repository per company. So you'll be able to create your own company templates that the Adaptive Cards designers will be able to really use for Microsoft Teams or for any other host to really work with them and to benefit a lot from them. Okay, so that is basically all I wanted to show you. So just don't forget to really be in touch with this product board upcoming features. Also be sure to, if you're interested of course, to be present during the community calls, because Matt Hittinger and sometimes David Lowe are really talking about very, very fine and interesting things that are like happening around Adaptive Cards. Like lately Matt said that Cisco WebEx Teams is going to use Adaptive Cards SDK for their bot platform. So that is also very cool information, because it really shows how valuable the Adaptive Card technology really is, and that it's not only dedicated for Microsoft applications, but you can really use it anywhere you want it, like in Cisco WebEx Teams as well. Right, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you like it. If yes, then just leave me a thumbs up, and you can follow my channel, because I'm going to post here a lot of more interesting videos and content. So stay in touch. Yep, bye.